Old Forester. Can one of the oldest names in bourbon still compete with all the new competition out there? Stick around to find out. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of With or Without Whiskey, the show where I give you the history and review of all things whiskey. I'm Ryan, and today I will be reviewing Old Forester 86. So enough talk, let's get into it. Old Forester is a Kentucky whiskey that is produced by Brown-Forman. It is one of the oldest and longest continually sold bourbon on the market, being sold for 151 years. It was also the first bourbon to be sold exclusively in sealed bottles. They did this to limit the tampering of the whiskey and to ensure a reliable product. Before Old Forester put whiskey into a bottle, it would normally be sold directly out of the barrel, or people would come and bring their own bottle or vessel to take it home in. The decision to bottle the whiskey made Old Forester a preferred choice to physicians who were prescribing alcohol for medicinal use. The original spelling of the word was Forester with 2 R's at the beginning, which is the way William Forester spelt it. William Forester was a physician who endorsed the product for medicinal use. Eventually, they changed the name to Old Forester with 1 R to avoid a direct link to the physician's name. Old Forester was first sold in 1870 by George Garvin Brown, the founder of Brown-Forman. There are many different installments of Old Forester, like the 86 proof, the 100 proof, 1910, 1920, Statesman, Bottled in Bond, among others, which I will review in later episodes. Old Forester 86 is 86 proof, or 43% ABV. It has a mash bill of 72% corn, 18% rye, and 10% malted barley. It is 4 years old, uses a level 4 barrel char, has a barrel entry proof of 125, and costs about $20. All right, let's get into it. So, Old Forester is considered one of the best values in bourbon. Everyone always says it's so good for a $20 bourbon. So, let's see if they're right. All right, so let's take a look at the color. So, as you can see, it's got a pretty dark color to it, kind of like that brown mahogany color. And most bourbons will have that kind of color because they're usually around like 4 to 6 years, but they could be young. All right, so let's get right into the nose. Okay, so right up front, I'm getting a lot of caramel, a lot of vanilla. There's a good amount of oak in there, and I'm getting that standard bourbon cherry note. There's a little bit of honey, and it's got a good amount of fruitiness to it. I'd say kind of in the realm of like a red delicious apple. I also get a lot of nuttiness on this. I'm not going to say it's quite almonds. It's probably more like those cup of mixed nuts you'll find sitting on bars. When you get into it a little bit deeper, you start to get a little bit of cinnamon and a good amount of molasses on the nose as well. All right, let's get into the taste. Cheers, guys. All right, when you first get into it, it's pretty thin. It doesn't really have a lot of body to it, but there are a good amount of flavors there. I'm definitely getting those cherry notes. There's a good amount of oak, and I'm also getting that barrel char. It's kind of got like a toasted marshmallow kind of taste to it. There's a little bit of vanilla and like a hint of caramel, but I'm getting a lot of those oaky kind of cinnamon notes too. There's a little bit of that nuttiness when you first take the sip, but it dissipates fairly quickly. The finish is pretty short. There's not much going on with it. You got the oak flavors, you have a little bit of that char still lingering in your mouth, and there's almost kind of like that toasted sugar note. I'm not gonna say caramel just yet, but it's like in between caramel and like white sugar. Aside from that, there really isn't much to the finish. All right, let's see what happens when we add a little bit of water to it. But before we do that, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button down below. Not only does it show support for the channel, but it also helps new viewers find us as well. All right, let's see how Old Forester is gonna change with a little bit of water added to it. 1, 2. All right, so the water kind of killed a lot of the strength on the nose. Like those scents aren't really punching through as hard, but I'm getting a decent amount of the same ones. There's some oak, there's a little bit of cherry, those nutty notes, not so much, but I am still getting that apple kind of scent. Let's see what it did to the taste. Okay, with the water, it's still an oak bomb. There's still a heavy amount of that oak and that barrel char coming through. But I'm also getting butterscotch and a little bit of citrus notes. I'd say maybe like orange zest, something along those lines. It has a little bit of that fruity note, like the apple's still punching through, but it's mostly that heavy oak. Let's give it one more just to be safe. Okay, on the second sip, I got a little bit more sweet flavors. There was probably a little bit of brown sugar on that. That brown sugar note isn't really the main note. It was kind of here and gone in a flash. The finish is almost identical with or without water. There's oak, there's a little bit of char, there's those slight sweet notes, but it's gone almost immediately. All right, stick around for the grade. All right, so for Old Forester 86 proof, I think I'm gonna give it a grade of 77 out of 100. This isn't a bad bourbon at all. It's actually quite nice. It's got all the right flavors to it. There's nothing really bad about this whiskey. It's just not really that complex. Look, this is a perfect mixer. You wanna grab a bottle of this, make some whiskey sours or make an old fashioned. It's not gonna break the bank. It's only $20 and you have a pretty good flavorful whiskey to use. And if you wanna drink it neat, you absolutely can. There's nothing wrong with this whiskey at all. So for Old Forester 86 proof, I think I'm gonna go with it. Like I said, there is nothing wrong with this bourbon. It's got great flavor, it's easy drinking, and it only costs $20. Look, if you're gonna sit at home, you're gonna have a couple of drinks, you're gonna drink this neat, perfect. Easy to drink, nothing too complex, so you're not gonna be picking it apart all night, and it's just super easy to drink. Plus, if you're gonna have a bunch of friends over and you're gonna make some cocktails, you could basically finish this whole bottle, go out tomorrow morning, and find it at every liquor store for roughly $20. So it's cheap, it's available, and it tastes fantastic. So this is definitely a bottle I recommend keeping at the house at all times. Whether you want to sip it, serve it to your friends, or just have a reputable bottle, this is definitely the one to go to. All right, well, that does it for today's episode of With or Without Whiskey. If you enjoyed the episode and you had a good time, let me know in the comments below. Also, while you're down there, let me know. What do you think of Old Forester 86? Do you usually get this one? Do you like to go for the 100 proof? Or do you splurge a little bit and go for the 1910 or the 1920? I love to hear what you guys have to say. And remember, everybody, no matter how busy you are, there's always time for a drink with friends. Stay safe, everyone.